Bad news for Devin Haney as Mayweather Promotions CEO Leonard Ellerbe talks about why that fight is probably likely not going to happen. Shout out to Fight Hype on the interview. I'm just going to read basically what he said. Leonard Ellerbe says Tank will decide who he's fighting soon. He's the boss. Frank Martin, none of these guys can beat Tank. Devin, when asked about Devin taking the same deal that Ryan took, he said, stop it. Y'all are in two different weight classes. Cut the BS. Tank could make 30. You don't tell Tank what weight class he's going to fight at, where he can fight at. He's going to fight where he's comfortable and do what he wants. When they were both at 35, that fight still had no possibility of happening. Bob Arum basically made a lightweight tournament with Loma, Kambosos, Devin, and Shakur. And ultimately, Bob controlled it all. He controlled it all, and Devin Haney was signed to Bob at that time for a reason. They always had a plan. All of this was going to be in-house. There was never an opportunity to make Devin Haney versus Tank Davis at 135 when they were both at 135. They all would have been the B-side to Tank Davis. Business dictates fights, and there was no money for those sides or on that side that could have ever made that fight possible. You couldn't make a deal. Tank is on a totally different level than those guys. So some of those are direct quotes. Some of that is paraphrasing. I'm sure if you saw the interview, I basically reiterated everything that Leonard Ellerbe said. So now Devin Haney is at 140. He moved up. He fought Regis Prograis. A lot of people thought that he was basically done at 135. He couldn't really make the weight anymore. He didn't look great in some of those last weigh-ins, especially the one against Kambosos. Then you have Tank Davis, who last fought basically at 135 with a catch weight of 136 against Ryan Garcia. I believe he had a 10-pound rehydration clause, meaning he can weigh in at 136, but he can't weigh any higher than 146 on the next morning when he weighs in again. That's what the rehydration clause said. So Devin, in one breath, said that he would take the same deal that Ryan did. But he also told somebody to kiss his behind when they said that he would have to take the same weight clause that Ryan took. And to me, if you say you're going to take the same deal, that does mean that you're going to take not only the purse split, but the weight clause. Now, the good thing about this is that Tank has still not talked about where he wants to fight Devin Haney at and where he would like that fight to take place. Tank could very well say, you know, we can fight at 138, 140, 10-pound rehydration clause. You can't come to the ring no higher than a welterweight, 147, right? Basically, Ryan couldn't come in no higher than 146. If he say 147, 148, to me, that's great. I would love to see that fight. I don't want to see Devin at his weakest or depleted, and I don't want to see, you know, Tank depleted. And I don't think either would be depleted at that weight class. I think that Devin knows he's the B side. I think everybody knows that Tank is the A side. His last fight generated $125 million in total revenue. And that's a lot of that has to do with your dancing partner. So, you know, I respect Leonard Ellerbe. I'm not going to say anything bad about Leonard Ellerbe. He told y'all, I've done 17 to 18 pay-per-views. I know how this business works. You know, you could talk about whatever you want on that side, but you've never done this business that I have. And I think Tank has earned his right to send out his offers on his terms. Leonard Ellerbe was very clear. He said that if Devin and Tank fight, and this is months ago, right? If Devin and Tank fight, the offer will be sent on Tank's terms, and it will be sent directly to Devin, which I have no issue with. All I want to see is an offer be sent, right? Because even though Devin does fight at 140, I know Tank said he wants that fight. And I know Tank knows that Devin is growing. And I know Tank probably doesn't give a damn about Devin weighing being at 140 if he really want that fight. Pretty much Tank can dictate, you know, through his contract where he wants that fight to be at. Now it's up for Devin to accept or decline. If Tank send him an offer, just like it's Ryan's, and say 136 weigh-in, 146 rehydration clause, I get, 80%, you get 20%, or whatever the case may be, and he send it to him, then it'll be in the news. It'll go in the news. It'll be widely reported that Tank Davis has now sent Devin Haney an offer. And whether we get the details or not, maybe we will get them. And Devin might get it and say, you know what? I declined Tank's offer because I'm not willing to fight at 136. We can fight at 140 with a rehydration clause, or we can fight at 140, whatever the case may be. Devin has every right to stand firm in what he wants to do. As they say, you don't get what you negotiate. You don't get what you're worth or what you're supposed to get. You get what you're negotiating, right? Or you get what you negotiate. So sometimes hardball works, right? There have been fighters that conceded everything. Floyd Mayweather and a lot of fighters conceded everything so that they could get the opportunity to just show that fighter up on that night. Bud Crawford was somebody who did not accept everything Errol basically tried to put out there, right? He said he went on a live stream. He did a huge live stream on Instagram, and Crawford basically went through all of this stuff of how they tried to, F him. And he said, I'm not doing that. I'm not going for that. This is what I need. We need guarantees, and this is what we can do. And he stood firm on that, and eventually he got it. And Errol told us, he said, I conceded a lot to make that fight happen. Everything down to the coin toss. That wasn't Errol's idea. That was compromise. Errol was the A side, clearly. And his idea wasn't to flip a coin and do this whole coin ceremony to see who gets to walk out first and who gets announced last. That wasn't his idea. But Bud Crawford, being a stickler and, trying to get everything he could, and Errol wanted that fight so bad, he said, okay, let's do it. Now, the question is, does Tank want anything that Devin has bad enough to compromise, right? Or is he cool? See what I'm saying? Errol wanted that undisputed. Errol wanted that undisputed so bad that he would compromise what he compromised to get it. Tank doesn't really want no belts. And I wouldn't say that Devin is on Tank's level as far as pay-per-view attractions. Of course he's not. Right? So then the question is, how bad does Tank want Devin? Does he want him bad enough to concede on certain things? Or is he cool? You know what I mean? And I think for Tank, it would do such a big thing for his career for him to fight Devin and beat Devin. And I think everybody knows that. For Bud Crawford to defeat Errol Spence and basically vanquish that whole conversation and argument. I mean, there were so many people, even on my channel, that was, they swore that Errol would destroy Bud, right? And I always said that fight it's a 50-50, at least in my mind it was, right? I'm like, you never heard me say that Bud would be destroyed by Errol or nothing, right? Even when I made my pick, I gave reasons why I thought that Bud could win, because I always knew Bud was that talented. And I think if most people knew how lopsided that fight would be, it would have never been as big as it was. The reason why it got talked about so much and it was as big as it was because most people thought it was a 50-50 fight, but it just wasn't. So same thing with Tank and Devin. We talk about it like it could be competitive. Some people don't think it'll be competitive. Some people think Devin will win. Some people think Tank will win. Some people think Tank will be dominant. Some people think that Devin got the kryptonite for Tank. So that's the thing, is like, it'll get quiet if you handle your business. And not only will you get the money, but you'll get that respect. And like I said, Bud had a beautiful victory lap. You know what I mean? When he won, he was on everything, bro. He was on Good Morning America. He was on Earn Your Leisure. He was on the Breakfast Club, sitting in Charlemagne the God's throne. I mean, this man was literally on everything for 2 weeks straight doing interviews. And now when he posts on social media, when they talk to him, they not saying, when you gonna fight Errol? When you gonna fight Errol? Errol beats you. Errol gonna beat your ass. They don't say none of that. They just say, they either don't say nothing or they salute that man. And I think that that goes a long way. Money can't buy you respect. Um, but like I said, Tank is still gonna make money no matter who he fights. If he fight Frank, if he fight Shakur, if he fight Devin, if he fight Sabril Matias, if he fight Rolly again, Pitbull, he's always gonna make money because he's established himself as a nice pay-per-view attraction. But why not get both? Why not get it all? Same thing with Floyd. You know, everybody talked about Pacquiao, 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 Pacquiao. They treated Floyd like he was younger than Pacquiao, but he's older. And then when Floyd finally beat Pacquiao, it was a wash. It was a wash, and all of the hypothesis and all of the I think this will happen, it came crashing down. And either people saluted Floyd, they left him alone as far as the Pacquiao fight, or they complained. But either way, more times than not, people will tell you, man, that fight wasn't even competitive. It was a wash, and Floyd handled him because he's the better boxer. So let me know what y'all think about all of this. Devin Haney may have gotten some bad news. What can he do? You know what I'm saying? As a fighter, you know, if I was in Devin's shoes and I know how much I have to put my body through to make 135, I would say he was already making the sacrifice because when in 2018 he told me, I asked him, because I knew in 2018 that it was getting hard for him to make the weight. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I asked him, I said, because like when I seen Devin in person, that dude don't look like no 35 pounder. I've seen Tank in person. Tank is, he's like 5'6", 5'5", you know what I'm saying? Devin Haney's like 5'10", 5'9", and you know what I mean? He's built like an athlete, right? So, you know, it's very abnormal for grown men, you know, that size and that height to weigh 135 pounds. I mean, so obviously they're cutting weight. Even Tank is cutting weight. Tank has missed weight at 130. You know what I'm saying? He's missed weight. He's forfeited his titles on the scale, everything. So I asked him in 2019, I said, how long you think you're going to be at 135? And he said, I don't know. It's getting harder and harder for me to make, but I want to win a world title in this weight class, and my time will come. And it did manifest. He ended up becoming undisputed at 135. So I think that was a good thing, and I think that Devin fulfilled what he wanted to do at 35, but he's growing as well. He's getting stronger, and that's when you feel your best. You know what I mean? You want to feel optimal when you fight in boxing. You don't want to feel like you ain't got your legs. Like, you know, when you throw a punch, you're not throwing it like you don't have everything behind it. You don't want to starve your body, and that's what these dudes are doing to cut weight. They're starving their body. They're drinking nothing but water, and even the rehydration. When you weigh in at 136 pounds, you're not gaining 100. You're not gaining 10 pounds of muscle overnight. No, that's water weight. You're drinking water. That's hydration, electrolytes. You know what I mean? Maybe a nice steak and potatoes, but you're not. You're not doing a Popeye eating spinach and then bulking up 10 pounds overnight. No, you suck the water out of your body, right? You make weight, then you replenish your body with water. That's why they call it rehydration, because you're dehydrating your body, and it's not healthy. And everybody does it. Everybody in boxing is probably fighting at least one weight class below where they naturally should be fighting. Every single body in boxing. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I respect Floyd too, because I feel like when you see Floyd, that dude's really a 147 pounder. You know what I mean? He always looked the same. You see him today, he still looked like how he did on fight nights, how he did before the fight, how he did in training camp. You seen some of these guys, you see them sometimes, they face all puffy. That's because that's how they look when they're not in camp. You know what I mean? Normally, or when they're not killing their body. So, you know, either way, I hope they get it figured out. I believe that Tank is, you know, basically in the driver's seat, but just because he's in the driver's seat doesn't mean he can't fulfill what he said he wants to do. He said he wants to fight Devin, Shakur, and Loma. Loma's fighting Kambosos this year. Shakur just retired. So where does that leave us? Devin the Dream Haney. Let's make the fight happen on whatever terms you see fit. Let's negotiate and hash it out and give a legacy fight and make a whole lot of money. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. It's the baddest brand in the land, Champ Side.